Their Excellencies, the Right Honourable Dame Patsy Reddy, Governor-General of New Zealand, and Sir David Gascoigne.
E nai hoi ho ngā maunga whakahi a te matu e piki mai rā, ka ke mai rā i runga i tere o rā hiri a te manukura o te kāwana tiana rā. Nā mai rā, haere mai rā. A moa mai rā ngā pare kawa o rā tā mai e kua mene ki te poe. Haere rā rātau, haere atu rā. Tēnei te mai o hanui o koutou whānau kua hui hui mai te rānei e. Nau mai, haere mai rā.
Tai ea, tai ea. Tai ea tēnei momo, tai ea tēnā momo. Whakamānawa tia te toki atu, whakamānawa tia te rau ōrongo. Oi whiwhi a te tohu, oi rawe a te tohu, oi tamau a te tohu, taumata rau tia te tohu. Hauri e, hui e, tai e.
I ngā mana, i ngā reo, i ngā iwi o ngā hoe whā. Tēnei aku mihi mahana ki a koutou. Kia ora tātou katoa. Nau mai haere mai rā ki te whare kawana. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, warm greetings to you all and welcome to Government House. I specifically acknowledge the Honourable Dr. David Clark, Minister of the Crown, Andrew Kibble-White, Chief Executive of the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet, our kaumātua, Professor Piri Shasha, and our kuia, Te Rupawai Higgins. Tēnā koutou. It's a great pleasure to host this investiture ceremony for 18 honour recipients in the presence of their family and friends, and formally recognise the contributions they have made to our country. As Governor-General, I have the authority and privilege on behalf of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of New Zealand, to hold an investiture for her and to confer the honours to which each recipient is entitled. Ladies and gentlemen, as each person is honoured, I invite you to join me in thanking and congratulating them for their service to our country. Hewitt Humphrey will now summon the recipients and read a citation for each one.
Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of an Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Ms. Timua Brennan of Rotorua for services to music and Māori performing arts. Timua Brennan has delivered numerous soloist performances as an operatic singer nationally and internationally. She's performed at events of national significance such as Canterbury Earthquake commemorations and Waitangi Day celebrations. She's a 5-time winner of the New Zealand Lockwood Aria Singing Competition and has been an adjudicator for the New Zealand Lockwood Aria and for several regional kapahaka competitions. She conducted the Canti Maori Italian tour as a soloist, performing a fusion of Maori and Italian songs. Her operatic album, Nā Te Au, honours the people and communities of Canterbury affected by the 2011 Christchurch earthquake. She's tutored local students as a specialist voice coach. Ms. Brennan operates a tourism business that provides Maori cultural entertainment on the Lakeland Queen cruise boat on Lake Rotorua. Ms. Briar Grace Smith of Paraparaumu for services to theatre, film and television. Briar Grace Smith has written 11 major theatrical plays to date, including Purapura Whetu and Paniora. She's been a leading proponent of a new style of Māori theatre focusing on character-based human stories and a variety of contemporary and historical subjects. She also wrote the television films Fish Skin Suit and Billy, the feature films The Strength of Water and Fresh Meat, and episodes of television series including Being Eve, Kaitanga to Twitch and Grace Beside Me. She made her directorial debut with the short film 9 of Hearts and co-created the feature film Waru. Her most recent short film, Crystal, premieres in 2018. Ms. Grace Smith has toured schools as an ambassador for Toi Māori and the New Zealand Book Council and has worked as a story consultant. Mr. Peter Lorimer of Wellington for services to the state. Peter Lorimer has held a variety of positions at Treasury, through which he's contributed to the public service. He's played a key role in developing legislation such as the Fiscal Responsibility Act 1994 and the Public Finance Act 1989. He was instrumental in supporting the passage of the Public Finance Act by providing advice and information. He supported the ability of successive generations of officials to understand and deliver on the technical practicalities and the broader intent of the Public Finance Act. His contributions have enabled the Act to remain up-to-date and effective through changing circumstances. Mr. Lorimer worked previously at the Department of Labour. Mr. Larry Parr of Wellington for services to film and television. Larry Parr was associate producer of the film Sleeping Dogs and has since produced more than 20 feature films, including Smash Palace and Came a Hot Friday. He directed the short film The Makutu on Mrs. Jones and the features A Soldier's Tale and Fracture. He produced the television anthology series E Tipu e Reo, in which almost all the cast and crew were Māori. He's mentored other New Zealand producers and has helped develop Māori involvement in the film industry. He was Director of Production for Television New Zealand's Avalon Studios and Head of Programming for Māori Television. Mr. Parr is now Chief Executive of Te Māngai Pāho, which was established to fund Māori radio and television programs, having previously been television manager.
Aho, utai na ki runga i te waka.
Mr. Desma Ratima of Hastings for services to Māori. Des Ratima has chaired Whakatu Kohanga Reo for 10 years, turning it into a successful learning nest. He organised the inaugural Whakatu Christmas in the Park event. He's chair of the Te Kupenga a Maui and Whaia o Te Ara police committees and the post-settlement entity Ahuriri District Health Trust. He's worked with Māori wardens regionally and was deputy chair of the New Zealand Māori Council, NZMC. He now represents Takitimu District Māori Council on the NZMC. He's been a cultural and environmental advisor for regional and district councils and a member of the Hawke's Bay District Health Board Māori Relationship Board. He's chair of the Marae Collective, Ngā Marae o Heretaunga. Mr. Ratima was instrumental in establishing the first military marae in Waiuru. Ms. Margarita Robertson of Dunedin for services to the fashion industry. Margarita Robertson is creative director of the iconic fashion label Nom D, which she established. Nom D has helped define the New Zealand look, encapsulating a mixture of tonal darkness and humour that's become a hallmark of Dunedin fashion. Ms. Robertson enjoyed a flourishing trade in Europe, the United States and Asia after her designs were shown at the London Fashion Week. Her work was showcased in the inaugural New Zealand Fashion Week and is included in the Te Papa Tongarewa collection. She's been an active sponsor of Dunedin's creative talent, is a long-term supporter of ID Fashion Week, and has been a judge for several years of the ID International Emerging Designer Awards. Her boutique Plume continues to trade in both Dunedin and Christchurch. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Ms. Ainsley Gardner of Whakatane for services to film and television. Ainsley Gardner is an award-winning producer of several high-profile television programs, short films and feature films, including Fantail, The Power Boys, and Taika Waititi's Eagle vs. Shark and Boy. She co-founded production company Whenua Films as a medium for bringing Indigenous storytelling to the screen. She was co-presenter of the Māori television programme Iti Pōnamu, which showcased acclaimed New Zealand films. She made her directorial debut with the short film Mokopuna, which won Best Short Film at the Dream Speakers Indigenous Film Festival in Canada. Ms. Gardner's current company, Misconceptions, has focused on producing films by women writers and filmmakers. Mrs. Isabel Poff-Pencoll of Palmerston North for services as a translator and interpreter. Isabel Poff-Pencoll held various voluntary positions with the National Council of the New Zealand Society of Translators and Interpreters, including officer, treasurer, vice president and president. She joined Alliance Francaise Palmerston North in the late 1990s, and under her leadership it's become a sizable French language and cultural centre with approximately 800 members and 200 students. She's a member and former vice president and president of the committee of the Federation of Alliance Francaise of New Zealand. Mrs. Poff-Pencoll has worked as a voluntary community interpreter for local refugee and migrant populations and set up free French literacy classes for children to study and retain their native language. Mr. Gordon Rayner of Alexandra for services to kayaking. Gordon Rayner has represented kayakers at local authority hearings and tribunals to protect central Otago rivers from development, damming, jet boats and mining. He was a key driver in the development of the Hawea Whitewater Park near Wanaka in collaboration with Contact Energy. He was a founding member of Central Otago Whitewater and coached whitewater kayaking for youth throughout the region. He manages a beginner kayaking program in Alexandra and has organised several slalom and freestyle events. Mr. Rayner has represented New Zealand at World Championship level in slalom, freestyle and rafting, and is the current World Master Slalom champion in his age group. The Venerable Sept Surapong of Wellington for services to the Cambodian community. Sept Surapong is chairman of the Wellington Cambodian Buddhist Trust and an advisor for the Wellington Khmer Association. He was involved in fundraising to purchase the land where the Wellington Cambodian temple was constructed. He's advised fellow monks and members of the Wellington Cambodian Buddhist Trust in setting up Buddhist teaching and language classes. He sponsored 15 Buddhist monks to work or stay in New Zealand. When a congregation outgrew its accommodation in Mangere East Temple in Auckland, he helped raise money to purchase land in Takanini, where a new complex is being completed. Abbot Surapong also helped establish a temple in Palmerston North. Miss Janette Tasker of Auckland for services to the community and education. Jan Tasker has been involved with the Methodist Church at parish level with the Auckland Synod Executive and nationally. She was chair of the Board of Ministry, served on the Council of Conference, the Stationing Committee and the Budget Group, and is currently a member of the Law Revision Committee. She was Vice President of the Methodist Church of New Zealand and has held leadership roles with Girls Brigade. She was Deputy Principal of Target Road Primary School, where she made a significant contribution to special needs education, overseeing growth of the department and training teacher aides to support the particular needs of the children. Your Excellency, to receive the Queen's Service Medal, Mr. Richard Joseph of Dunedin for services to the Lebanese community. Richard Joseph was president of the Cedars of Lebanon Club in Dunedin at a time when it was determined the club was no longer viable. He drove a number of initiatives to provide a lasting memorial to the early settlers and the Lebanese community of Otago and Southland. He led the club's committee in carrying out a number of projects and organised a weekend reunion event for people from all over the world with connections to the Dunedin Lebanese community. Upon the completion of these projects, Mr. Joseph placed the club in recess. He's remained the club's president. the Reverend Perema Liasi of Porirua for services to the Pacific community. Perema Liasi is solo minister at Christ the King Pacific Islands Presbyterian Church, Porirua. He was previously minister for St Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Te Awamutu, where he worked to rehabilitate prisoners and help former prisoners reintegrate into the community. He's chairperson of the Porirua Samoan Combined Churches and secretary for the Samoa Ministers' Fellowship of the Wellington region. He's organised combined church services, youth sports days, and Samoa Independence Day celebrations. He's patron of the Lava Lava Samoa Class 101, chairperson of the Wellington Pacific Bible College, and a Wellington Pacific Health Services Committee member. Mr. Donald Manning of Lower Hutt for services to sailing and people with disabilities. Donald Manning helped establish and is club captain of Sailability in Wellington, an organisation that helps people with disabilities experience sailing. He drove the expansion of Sailability from 1 centre to 3. He raised money and lobbied for the centres, supported the sailors and volunteers, managed the logistics of storing and maintaining the boats, and worked to ensure the sustainability of the organisation. Sailability Wellington is now the biggest sailability program in New Zealand. Mr. Manning has helped establish sailability centres in Tauranga, Nelson, Napier and Rotorua, and has been involved with organising regional and national sailing competitions. Mrs. Ruth McNamara of Alexandra for services to the community. Ruth McNamara was instrumental in establishing Central Otago Wastebusters, which provided recycling services alongside educational programs, and was chairman of the board. She provided leadership support to St John Brigades and assisted with yearly cadet competitions and youth camps. She helped establish a combined church group that's raised more than $50,000 for local causes through a fruit and vegetable stall. Mrs. McNamara volunteers at the local food bank and has worked in a range of other charitable roles, including Meals on Wheels, patient transport, after-school care, and cooking classes for families on a limited budget. Dr. Grant Norbury of Alexandra for services to conservation. Grant Norbury led the establishment and is now chair of the Central Otago Ecological Trust, which supports and furthers the restoration of dry land ecosystems. He's given advice on the design of predator control in ecological restoration initiatives across New Zealand. He's had science leadership roles with Manaki Whenua Landcare Research. He's a member of the Takahe Recovery Group, was a member of the Grand and Otago Skink Recovery Group, and was an associate editor of the New Zealand Journal of Zoology. Dr. Norbury has given us time to talk to schools and lead field trips and working bees. Ms. Alison Ross of Christchurch for services to conservation. Alison Ross is founder and secretary of the Lyttelton Environment Group. She was the foundation secretary manager of the Otamahua Quail Island Ecological Restoration Trust. She's been involved with Heritage New Zealand, co-edited a second edition of Otamahua Quail Island, A Link with the Past, and secured a grant for a restoration plan for the Scott Shackleton stables on Quail Island. She organised conservation volunteer exchanges with students from the United States and New Zealand. She's been involved with local education at the Lyttelton Kindergarten and Lyttelton Main School. Ms. Ross was part of the Banks Peninsula Wastewater Working Party. Mr. Paul Sangster of Takeka for services to local government and the community. Paul Sangster is in his 9th term as a councillor, having served on the Golden Bay County Council and the Tasman District Council after amalgamation. He's a foundation member of the Golden Bay Promotion Association and secretary of the Pupu Hydro Society. He established the Golden Bay Employment Pool and ran the Periodic Detention Scheme. He has a long association with the Takeka Drama Society, the Takeka Citizens Brass Band, the Takeka Rugby Club, the Golden Bay A&P Show, and the Rockville Machinery and Settlers Museum. Mr. Sangster is a regular community master of ceremonies, entertainer, and compere. Your Excellency, the investiture is concluded.
An investiture ceremony is the most important event I hold on behalf of Her Majesty, the Queen of New Zealand. It allows me, as Governor-General, to recognise and thank an extraordinary group of people on behalf of all New Zealanders. By using their talents to make ours a better society, whether by service to their communities or by their leadership in diverse fields of endeavour, or their commitment to excellence in their field of expertise, our recipients have set a fine example for others. To the recipients, it's been a privilege to hear your stories and recognise the qualities that have enabled you to serve others, to achieve success or make an outstanding contribution in your own field. In your own way, each of you has helped make New Zealand a better place to live. Your actions and the stories we have heard reflect the spirit of the words of the late Nelson Mandela when he said, "What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived, it is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead." Your contributions have enriched the cultural, social and economic fabric of Aotearoa New Zealand. Please wear your insignia with pride, knowing that your communities appreciate and value your work and are inspired by your example. On behalf of the Queen of New Zealand and all New Zealanders, I congratulate you on your achievements and thank you for your service to our country. Kia ora puiwi tātou katoa. Ladies and gentlemen, that almost brings to a close the formal part of today's ceremony, but before we break for refreshments, I'd like you all to stand and sing with me our national anthem in Māori and in English.